What's happening, everybody? Real talk. One, I'm here with my guys. I'm here with the happiest man on the West Coast right now, my man Jay. What's up, Jay?
Man, you gave me the best introduction. I don't even need to say anything. You know how I'm feeling.
Absolutely. Then I got another happy guy over there, up north in Philly.
Listen,
Chris Brown, what's good with you?
it feels good to be 1-0. Feels good to be the number one seed in the East. And honestly, it just feels good that playoff basketball is here. Because every single game this weekend, in my opinion, lived up to the hype. I was 5-3 in my overall predictions. I got some of them wrong. Some teams folded on me. But regardless, I'm glad, Kenny, your team was one of those teams. We're going to talk about it soon, but they definitely let me down. We're going to get into that. But I'm just glad that playoff basketball is here. We get to see the best of the best play like the best of the best.
Absolutely. It was, although my Knicks lost, it was just great seeing the electricity in the garden. Like, I've been in the garden for the playoffs, and literally, like, you have your hairs are standing on the back of your head. I mean, on your neck and on your arms. Like, it is so electric. Like, you feel so alive. The place when it goes up, it's no feeling like it. So
you could get the sense too by watching it on TV.
Yeah, you could feel the electricity, man. Because as much as everybody likes to talk about LA and Chicago and Philly,
nothing like New York.
It's no place like New York, man. When it comes to basketball, this basketball is the city's game, and it's everywhere. You can find a game going on right now. Especially now that the sun is out and it's warm. Everybody, somebody's hooping somewhere, and in all hours of the night. Like, the city that never sleeps, it's a true statement. You can find games going on till 1 or 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, literally. So I'm just glad to see playoff basketball back in New York. But let's get to it, and I'm gonna hand it over to Chris.
Let's get into it. But before we get into playoff basketball, we gotta address this Kwame Brown situation. I feel like it's something that's definitely been longer than what I expected. But if do a little bit of backstory, Kwame Brown has been on social media kind of posting his thoughts for a while now. But I guess, now that it's tagged with some big name guys like Steven Jackson, Matt Barnes, some ESPN guys, Gilbert Arenas is starting to get more, national coverage. But Kenny, I'm going to go to you first. What is your overall thoughts on this Kwame Brown situation? There's too much going on. Is he in the right? Is somebody in the wrong? What do you think?
I think clearly that Kwame Brown was just fed up. Like, he just felt the need that he needed to defend himself. And, he felt disrespected. And, credit to Steven Jackson. I saw on Instagram today that, they were able to talk and he was able, be man enough to apologize. What he said was disrespectful. Like, the guy played, 10 plus years in the league. Like, you're not a bum or you're not a scrub if you play 10 plus years in the league. I don't care who you are. And also, and me and you talked about this on Twitter, like, Steven Jackson, like, you were a solid player, no question about it, but you weren't like
you weren't a superstar.
Exactly, you
a perennial all-star. A perennial all-star. Should have been all-star a couple times.
Should have been, yeah.
If not for some situations.
Yeah, close, but at the end of the day, like, you was a journeyman. just like Kwame Brown, Matt Barnes, you was a journeyman, just like Kwame Brown. And y'all clowning on this guy like y'all was at some higher plane or some higher level in your careers, when in actuality, you guys are all in the same boat. You guys made your rounds around the league. You played against, with 5, 6, 7 teams. So I just felt like Kwame Brown was like, he just, felt the need that he had to defend himself. Now, did he go too far? Probably so. I think he got a little, he felt that he was fine. He just emptied his clip on whoever had something to say. He was bringing smoke to everybody. But, at the end of the day, like, I'm just glad that they were able to piece it up. They were able to talk it out as men and, get back on the right page, because it's just, it's just something that went a little too far, in my opinion.
You're right. You said exactly what I was going to say. It kind of went too far. When I was watching the show, because I've been watching all the smoke since it first happened, and they were really saying everything they said was right. I mean, if you look at it, being a number 1 pick, you did not live up to the hype.
True.
You did not do your thing in Washington. What Gilbert Arenas, seemed true.
And it wasn't it wasn't
malicious.
Yeah, to me, like that's what really made it go too far. Like what Gilbert said, it wasn't a diss to me. Like he was saying, like, yo, I was trying to get you going, but I understood. I was trying to build your confidence.
It was time for you to move on.
Yeah,
he said
it
was a situation, and he wasn't wrong with that either.
Yeah,
it was really a situation. Got taken out of context, and he started to run with it. And when it comes to basketball talk, obviously he's not a bum. He made it to the NBA. He was there for a long time. But if you look at what he was supposed to do,
no, he definitely didn't live up.
He definitely did not live up to his expectations.
Absolutely.
And so that he was a bust. He was a flat out bust. Wasn't the greatest, NBA player. And if we're honestly talking about those 3 guys versus him, all 3 of those guys had a way bigger impact in their basketball careers than Kwame. But one thing about it,
I don't know about Matt Barnes. I'll give you Steven Jackson. I don't know about Matt Barnes.
Matt Barnes was a key piece to that Clippers
team. He was a role player.
He was a role player.
He
was a role player. You're right, but his role player had more of an impact than Kwame. But I said all this. You're right,
me,
but
he's a defender.
He was a 3-and-D guy. He was a 3-and-D guy, but he did his job so good that he was about. Nah, we're not even going to dive into that. But the point being is all basketball talk. But when it started going left, that's when I got lost. Like, they didn't talk about nothing about you personally. And then Kwame Brown started sending all these personal shots. And that's when I just, I left it alone. Because, listen, at the end of the day, Kwame Brown, ever since you got drafted, everybody's been calling you a bust. Everybody's been calling you a bust. And you can't say they were wrong. And then, he started saying, oh, well, I fed my family. And we understand that. Nobody, I don't think anybody was trying to take that away from you being able to provide for your family. But at the end of the day, when it comes to the game of basketball, everything they said was right. And that should have been the end of conversation. It shouldn't have got personal. But once it started getting personal, I started tuning it out because they would just started saying things that nobody needed to hear, in my opinion. But, Jay, what you think?
I'm a little split on how you guys look at it. I feel like when you open your mouth on a platform like that and you make comments on someone's person, you have no idea how they're going to react. And you making that comment and attaching that person's name to it gives them the 100% ability to react how they want to react. And I think if you don't want the heat, shut your mouth. Don't get on that platform. You're in the wrong platform. You know what I mean? Look at Stephen A. Smith. Look at Skip Bayless. They deal with it on a daily basis. And you got to handle it different. First of all, the mistake by Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes was responding to him. You move on. You keep going. And, them responding, that started the trend. You know what I'm saying? Because Kwame Brown, he would have said what he was going to say, and it would have went over. We would have had a day or two of people coming back and forth, and it would have been done. Because the road had ended. But them responding gave extensions and lengthened the road for them to drive longer on it. So, to me, you're in that position. Don't put someone's name attached to something if you don't expect them to defend themselves. Now, flip the script. It wasn't outlandish what they said, but I feel like that's not the first time they've talked about Kwame Brown, and that's not the first time they have talked
I
about
think
Kwame Brown
that's why
on
he
that
was. I
show.
think that's why he responded, is because it was
On that show.
times. Yeah.
On that show, I've seen them talk about Kwame Brown multiple times. Anytime they talk about it, and guys, don't be nice. Kwame Brown's a bum. He was a bum basketball player.
Nah, you
Yes, he
can't.
was. He was a great high school. He was a great
You
high school
can't.
basketball
He
player.
was a bust basketball player. The
Yeah,
only
he
reason I don't
was
want to say bum.
12
No,
years
look,
in the
listen.
league. Like, you
You're
can't call
right.
nobody
No.
no
Now,
bum
10
with
years
that's
12
ago,
why
years
I
in the
don't want to
league.
call
I
him a bum.
respect.
But he was
His,
the bottom level. He was the bottom
he
level
was
of
the
centers in the
bottom.
league.
Hey, look, I just looked it up. Matt Barnes averaged 8.2 points per game. Kwame Brown averaged 6.6 points per game. That's 1.5 points. Like, if that's
What's
the
that?
case, then Matt Barnes a bum too.
How many minutes did Matt Barnes
Where was hold on? This is all I got. You're right on that. Matt Barnes, he had one role, but Matt Barnes wasn't even supposed to be in the NBA. Kwame got picked with the number 1 pick. So Kwame,
Once you
he was supposed to get better. He never got better.
I understand.
And you're right about that. He declined as a basketball player. But at the same time, when we talk about Matt Barnes and we talk about Steven Jackson, and I can look at the teams that they were on later on in their careers, and those teams went out and got them because they needed them. No one went out and got Kwame Brown because they needed a Kwame Brown.
I
You know what I'm saying? So again, I'm saying it like this:
you got a point.
Kwame Brown was not a good
There's a
basketball player.
There's a reason that bigs get picked up on teams, and teams need defensive rebounding, and that's what he turned out to be, a defensive and a rebounding guy. So that's the reason why he lasted in the league for so long.
Yeah,
Same way with Matt Barnes. Nobody was bringing Matt Barnes in to get buckets because he couldn't score.
Not buckets, but they were
3-and-D. He was a 3-and-D guy.
Toughness in defense and the occasional three.
And a three, no matter what's going on. The thing about Matt Barnes, I don't care if there's 32 people in his face. You needed the 3 and his game's on the line. Matt Barnes has a good chance of hitting that.
A good chance, but that's the guy you're going to leave open. That's the guy you're going to leave open if he's on the court. We're going to keep it a buck. We're going to keep it a buck. Like, we can't say that Kwame Brown and talk about him like he was a bum, and then we talk about Matt Barnes like he was a great player. He was a solid role player. Bottom line,
I'm going to say a great role player. Because Matt Barnes was, when he went to a team, he stuck like glue and he helped them out.
So why did he wind up on so many teams?
Just like Trevor Ariza. Don't sit here and tell me Trevor Ariza. Trevor
Ariza is one of the most journeyman guys I've ever seen. And every single team he goes to, his impact is phenomenal. Every single team wants a Trevor Ariza right now.
At the end. It's not, and they had. I think, to me, Matt Barnes did what he was supposed to do in his career. I think he did exactly what he was supposed to do. No, but seriously, I gotta relax.
I'm just with that because this is why I agree. Matt Barnes wasn't supposed to get into the league. He got into the league and worked and to becoming one of the best 3-and-D guys, from Kobe, one of them on his team, to him going to the Clippers and being a key piece for this success. Kwame Brown went to the Lakers and they got rid of him so fast to bring in Paul Gasol. Like Kwame, I know I see what you're saying because you look at the stats and they both role players.
First round Clippers. Like, what success did he bring to the team?
He wasn't supposed to be looked at like, listen, I need you to get 20 and 10. Kwame Brown came into the league as supposed to be the next Moses Malone.
I understand what you're saying, but after 4 or 5 years, we all knew that Kwame Brown was a defensive guy and a rebounder. And that's what he was for the rest of his career.
But when you're the number 1 pick, it's understand you paying out. But you weren't the 15th. You weren't the 16th. You was that number 1.
No, I'm saying, like, what he was drafted, he did not. He definitely didn't live up to
He was a bust. He was a bust.
No question. I'm not disagreeing with you.
And I agree with you on your point of view.
We're overstating Matt Barnes's value to teams because at the end of the day, the one championship he won, he did not even see the court.
You're right. One thing though, we're not overstating, is I think we all should agree. Well, me and Kenny already agreed on it. Sag Jack, he's here, and those two guys are kind of in the role player range.
Hey,
he had a great career.
Champion, y'all. Just remember that.
We know. We understand. I
He didn't
understand.
see
he
the
was
floor.
a
He don't even.
valuable role.
He'll tell you he don't even wear that
He
ring
didn't want
because
the
he
ring
don't.
because
Yeah, he
of his
didn't
on court
contribute.
impact. His off
He
court
didn't
impact.
contribute.
He don't. I know he had an off court impact, but the on court impact he got hurt
He
right at the
did,
beginning of the playoffs.
but I think that he would have still been a big part of that squad if he was on there. And when he went down, they were hurt by it. They were expecting him. But I mean, back to the actual situation, I think that Kwame, again, and I think that Kenny's trying to what you're projecting right now is to me what Kwame's feeling like. Yo, wait, you guys are out here giving passes to people, what you just compared to Matt Barnes, the 8 and the 6 and very similar stats. You out here getting passes to people, but you're dumping on me. And
Exactly. Like you can't.
That's a good
You
point.
say, like if I'm Kwame Brown, I'm like, bro, especially Matt Barnes. Like, what you laughing at? You know what I'm saying? Like that's what he's feeling like. Yo, what you laughing at? You ain't. We in the same boat, my dude.
and that's
You
why
know,
I'm
and
not
the only,
against.
the difference is I was a number one pick, you were a second round
But
pick.
that's why people look at
I
Kwame like
understand,
that,
and I get it.
and it's
But I'm
hard to
saying
cut
in
that
terms of
off.
their
You're right.
output. Now,
It's hard
I
to cut
understand your
that
point,
off,
but
though.
I'm just
It's
speaking from
hard.
a player's perspective. If I'm
You're
Kwame
right.
Brown, I'm like, bro,
It's
you need to
it's
fall
nothing
back.
different between us, but it's
Yeah.
just hard to cut off the fact that
No, you
you
can't.
were
I get
cut
it.
by 1,000 teams and you was supposed to be the next guy. And you're
So
right. Everything you said was right. It's just hard to say Kwame Brown and just put him okay as to be this when you were that number one pick, like that cuts out everything. I tried to give you compliments, but you were a bust. That's
and you
what it
No,
got
comes
to
back
look.
to.
So
and
look,
I think
this is
he
why.
owns that. He
But
owns
this
that. I don't think
and
he
this is
shies
true.
away from that or runs from that.
Mhm.
He
But and
owns
this
the
is why
fact
I
that he
say.
didn't roll up to it.
But this is why I say they're both not in the wrong. I think
Mhm.
on the as far as the show, if you don't want nothing, you don't want no backlash, you don't want people to be able to, come back at you, don't use names. Don't use a freaking name. And
But
then
they,
secondly,
okay, I'll let you finish.
don't respond back. You know what I mean? Like that you're opening that door, you're letting that extra go. And on Kwame Brown's backs out on his side, he's done what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to defend his name. He's supposed to defend himself. And
Mhm.
honestly, he's winning right now. Not only did the podcast come and respond to him, help him blow up his own
Everybody
channel,
started responding
you know
and
what I'm
diving their
saying?
nose into it.
But hey, Kwame Brown looks set. Kwame
Mhm.
Brown looked like he invested his money correctly.
I mean, $1 million is still $1 million,
He's
and
Oh
he
chilling.
was
yeah.
getting it.
No, he
He
got,
got he got his money.
and here's the part I was gonna say
Mhm.
is like any other player that they talk about on that show, they always bigging them up. They always showing respect.
They come at guys now.
Now they
Before
come at them,
we
but
got to
for the
wrap this
most
up
part,
soon. We
for
got
the
to wrap
most,
this up
yeah, for
soon.
the
But
most
I heard
part.
them come at a lot of
Oh,
players.
oh no, they keep it 100. Like
But they
I'm not
pick
saying
and
they keep it 100,
choose.
but it's usually respectful. It's
But they pick
rarely
and choose.
It rarely take. That's my point. Like you gotta be one. Like if you're gonna be one way, like if you're gonna show players love, then show players love. Don't be
Mhm.
shady. You know
You're
what I
Hey,
right.
mean?
You're
because
right on that.
it's almost a bullying,
And so,
type
and
of
that's why
identification
I
because they pick
respect.
and choose,
For
dude.
Yeah,
him,
that's
that's
why I
my
respect.
respect for him to defend his name. Because
Absolutely,
you
Exactly.
guys, as a man, you got to defend your name. But let's
no
move
doubt,
on real quick.
no doubt.
Let's talk about this Miami and Milwaukee game real quick.
Shoot,
Just for a couple of minutes.
what's there to
Be
talk
brief.
about?
Yeah, what is there to talk about? I just want to give a quick update for everybody's watching. 107-78, Milwaukee blew them out the door. I knew this was going to happen. I told people before the game, listen, Milwaukee shot 5 for 31 in game one from the three-point line. You can talk about Bam and Jimmy, but they were being defended great. And Bam, he's just not an offensive guy. But Milwaukee shooting 5 for 31 when their average was 39%. Expect a big game in game two. And they came out guns blazing. Forbes off the bench has 22 points, 6 for 9 from the three-point line. Connaughton is giving you 4 for 6 from the three-point line. Middleton is 3 for 3. Now, Giannis keeps chucking up threes for God knows what, ruining his shooter percentage, but he got 27,
Gotta
13, and
keep
6 right
shooting though
now.
to get that confidence.
Yeah, but I don't want him to ever have confidence in three-point unless he can make a free throw in the mid-range, stop shooting, like take 3 more dribbles, literally, because they're all the way at the paint. Just take 3 more dribbles and get that and get that mid-range. But real quick, I'll make you guys this about this series. Milwaukee's about to go up 2-0. Jay, do you think, 1, who do you have winning this series, and 2, how many games?
I told y'all from the start of the season, I did not think Miami was real. It was a fluke. It was bubble play. Jimmy Butler went off, and that's what happened. And it's getting proven. I got them 5. They're gonna win Game 3 in Miami. They'll win 1 in Miami. They got, Miami goes haywire over their Heat. So I got Milwaukee in 5.
Kenny, how you feel about this series right now?
I think Milwaukee wins this series, but I think it's going to go 6. The Heat is a prideful organization. And them getting embarrassed like this is not going to sit well. And Jimmy Butler is not going to be a happy camper. So,
It's only mad at himself scoring 10
minus 34. Worst plus minus out right now. Minus 34.
Don't get me wrong. Like the whole team was bad tonight. And Bam, like you got to figure out a way because he looks like almost looks like he's intimidated by.
He's looking like Draymond Green right now. He's looking like Ben Simmons right now. He's scared of the rim.
Yeah, he's really not looking confident in his game, looking confident in his shot. And Brook Lopez
is like he's hurt.
Yeah,
he's not hurt. He's not hurt.
I think the length of Brook Lopez is kind of giving him some trouble because he's giving him some space. Yeah, he's giving him some space, and he's still able to close out on him. And I think Bam hasn't been able to use his quickness the way he thought he was going to be able to because he definitely last year in that series he was killing them. So this is a tough one to take, but like you said, at the end of the day, home teams always, especially role players, they always play better at home. They always shoot better at home. But I will say this, that I like what the Bucks did in terms of remaking their roster. They got a lot of shooters now on that floor to space that floor for Giannis to work, and for Middleton to work, and for Drew Holiday to get busy. So they definitely upgraded their roster, and I just think that they just have too much talent for Miami right now. So but I think it'll be 6 because I just say the pride of Miami. They'll get a game or 2 in Miami, and then Milwaukee will close it out at home.
Yeah, I think the Drew Holiday additions really changed the dynamics of these matchups. Because the guards in that last series were killing them, and they can't get off in this series. It's not going to happen. You got Middleton and Drew. Good luck.
Yeah. Is that? Go ahead, Kenny.
I was going to say just the way he shoots the ball. That's what made him an upgrade over Eric Bledsoe. He's a much better shooter from the perimeter.
He's plus 36 right now.
Eric Bledsoe, the mom.
Watch your mouth, man.
Hey, man, Bledsoe. Hey, man, get off Bledsoe.
Bledsoe's listen. I'm not going to dog him because he made it to the NBA. He had great years, but for the past couple of years, he's been one of the reasons why Milwaukee's not been successful. I had this going 7. Now with Kenny, I think it's going 6. My thing with Miami is Bam is going to be the reason why they lose. Win or lose, it's on Bam because they're giving him that elbow jumper. Like
he's got to hit that. Yeah,
and it's right at the free throw line too. They're just giving it to him.
Yeah.
Like it's like this much space between Brook Lopez is at the block and he's right at that high post elbow range, and he has the jumper. So he can take it. And I seen him hit 1, but he's just not confident with it. And that's going to be the make or break for this team because he can easily score 20 right there. Nice free throw jumper. And if he wants to.
He was hitting it.
And he was shooting it with confidence throughout the season. And now I look like a fool saying he's the 3rd best center in the league when he's just playing like a shell of himself right now.
Yeah, we were saying that he was up there with the best centers in the league right now.
He's not in that conference because the two other centers
was up there like that.
The 2 other centers did their thing. And B 30 and 30 minutes, Jokic 34 and 16, and Bam was just to shove himself, on Saturday.
We haven't heard the last from Bam. I think he's going to respond in Miami.
I think they're all going to respond in Miami, but it's going to be, I think, too late. I think it's going to be too late. I think, and depending on how it goes, 4 or 5, I mean, Milwaukee might still game 4 at Miami because when I look at it, it's like this. We all talked about how huge Drew Holiday was for 2 reasons. One, Eric Bledsoe, I'll give him this. He's not a bad defender. Drew Holiday is just a little better.
And he's a better – see, the problem with Eric Bledsoe is that he hasn't developed his jump shot. That's the thing that has kept him from elevating to that next tier of point guards.
It's multiple things, though.
To me, that's the biggest thing because
he hasn't developed his jumper. but he's not
Yeah,
consistent with getting to that. He can get to the lane, but he hasn't been a consistent scorer with Milwaukee. He was in Phoenix, but like with Milwaukee, it was just like he's not hitting his three, and then where's he's getting points? You know, in game one, Drew Holiday was 0 for 5 from the 3-point line, but 9 for 8 from the field because he's able to get to his basket. He has that pull up mid range. Like Eric Bledsoe, he wasn't doing that pull up mid range. He just wasn't consistent with scoring. That's why I like that Drew Holiday move, because not only is he a better shooter, he's better at every single category, honestly, than Eric Bledsoe. But when it comes
His
to
defense
scoring,
is
and
tremendously better.
it's just
but
that scoring level
Bledsoe
goes here. And
is
so
a
now
really good
Chris
defender as
Middleton
well.
isn't the only guy on the perimeter that's going
Right.
to close out games. Now you got two guys that can really attack you on the perimeter, and that makes it easier for Giannis. Because when it's just Chris Middleton and Giannis, they're both are getting a lot of blame, and everybody hating on Chris Middleton. Stop it. He can be a closer because him and Drew Holiday are a backcourt that can both give you 40 combined, 10 assists combined, and shut down your guys. If those two together, which one are you going to guard? Because I saw Kendrick Nunn on Chris Middleton. That's barbecue chicken. He's shooting over him all day. That's how he hit the game winner. So now you got two guys that can attack you. It's going to make it easier for both. So I think it's going to go 6, maybe 5 now.
End of game should always have Drew as the number one option and facilitate from there.
That's you should, but when Chris Middleton can't score, I give him that.
I think you put them two together. I think you put Middleton and Drew Holiday in a 1-2 or 1-3 pick roll.
That's what they were doing to the end of that game one.
You got to pick your poison. Like you get, if you switch, then it's a mismatch with Middleton, and I think that's their best offense. In terms of closing.
And then that's how they close game one. Up and help. You got Brooke Lopez out there, or
they got a gang full of shooters. They have a gang full of shooters.
Or you got DiVincenzo,
Bobby Portis, PJ Tucker, Forbes. The roster is good,
and it fits their style.
Everything fits their style.
Eric Bledsoe was a bad fit for their style because they want guys to be able to hit the 3-ball or get all the way to the rim and score. And I think Eric Bledsoe was. He could get to the rim and score, but he couldn't shoot that 3-ball.
So he wasn't consistent. He wasn't consistent at all.
And also, when you got a guy like Giannis, you can only drive the ball so much because he's going to do a lot of the driving. So you're not going to get as many opportunities to drive the ball. So I just think that it was a bad fit for him.
No 3-pointer or mid range because Drew gets to that mid range. Eric Bledsoe was just in the paint.
It's not, it's not a good fit for Milwaukee. So, but they got a good team. It's gonna be exciting to see.
It's definitely gonna be exciting. Let's talk about the 4-5 matchup in the Eastern Conference. You had the New York Knicks going against the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks ended up winning the nail biter 109 to 107 with a game winner, by Trae Young, telling the crowd it's getting quiet in here, which I love that, by the way, because they were talking trash like they should. If you were ever going, I remember I cussed out LeBron when I was like, I don't want to say my age. Yeah, you're supposed to yell at the opposing team. That's what real fans do. It's all love, but I ain't gonna love you.
Just real fans. It's Madison
Square. It's another level in terms.
It's another level of hate, and you gotta embrace it. And I'll give it to Trae Young. He embraced it. But Kenny, I'm gonna go to you first. And I'm gonna go after you real quick. Where do you think the Knicks went wrong in game one? Because it was definitely a winnable game. It was definitely a winnable game, and they were back and forth, with the lead. Where do you think the Knicks went wrong in game one?
I think the Knicks went wrong by trying to force feed the offense through Julius Randle. I think that's where it went wrong. Alec Burke was cooking the whole night.
I miss him on the Sixers.
Yeah, I think that down the stretch, it should have been between him and RJ Barrett getting the touches because those two guys were the two guys that were really flowing between, and Derrick Rose had a few moments here and there. But to me, the two guys that really should have been a bigger part of the offense was RJ and Alec Burke. And I just think they tried to force feed Randall. They tried to force feed him, trying to make his move from the top of the key, and it wasn't working. They was clearly waiting for it. They, built that wall and was waiting for him. As soon as he put it on the floor, it was a double team coming. So you had to give it up. So you just got to figure out a way to utilize Julius Randle on the wing, utilize him on the block. More importantly, get him on down there in the post where he could use his physicality and finish in the paint. You put and I think you had it earlier. We talked about it before the show, but it's a shot chart that shows that he did not even. Yeah, there it is right there. Look at that. Look at that shot chart. There's 3 shots at the rim. So that's just not going to get it. When Julius Randle's at his best, he's getting downhill and getting to the basket.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just out of sync the whole night. So I just think they tried to force feed the offense running through Julius Randle, and it just wasn't work. It wasn't his night, and you needed to go to Plan B and go and ride the hot hand and let Alec Burke lead you to a victory.
Right, you're right. Like when I look at the shot chart, I'm looking at right here, just getting the ball right here and just shooting these, and I'm all contested jumpers. One thing about Joy is they're all contested fading away jumpers.
Yes.
He had a nice 3 right here in the fourth quarter, but other than that, I mean, he wasn't doing nothing. And his body language to me was bad. But your first playoff game, 6 for like 23. He just wasn't in it. But like you said, he was pressing, and they went wrong giving him the ball at the wrong spots. Because if you're going to, try to get him involved, at least get him easy baskets at the rim. That's why I like guards like Rondo and like Lonzo, because they're going to get you Derrick Rose. No, but Derrick Rose.
That's what I'm saying.
He's another thing. But put the ball in D Rose's hands and let him get easy shots.
And he drop it off, man.
Let him get easy shots. That's what Randle needed. He needed easy shots to the basket, not giving it to him at the high post and clear out and watch him shoot a step back jumper. That's not what Julius Randle need. He need to either get in the block, get in a pick and roll, or just call an action for him to get it on the move and have him go.
That type of thing where he could just get 2 dribbles and get to the paint.
And that's what hurt them. What's up, Freddie? We're gonna introduce you in a second. Sit back and shut up because your team lost and my team won, and Jay's team won as well. That's how I'm feeling. That's how I'm feeling. That's how I'm feeling. I see. You Lakers took an L. You was talking all that trash. That's how I'm feeling. Now back to real quick about the Knicks.
No, but on the Knicks thing, I think one of the biggest takeaways for me, you shoot 33 pointers against a team that is a hot shooting team, and that you don't want to do that. You don't want to get into a shootout with a person that got the automatic rifle and you came with a pistol. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way Atlanta's set up right now in this matchup. They got an automatic rifle. You carrying around a pistol. Slow the game down. Use fast break spurts. Other than that, set up your half court offense. Because if you ask me, predominantly they got more matchup issues. They got way more matchup issues in the half court than they present matchup issues running up and down the court with Atlanta. If you running up and down the court with Atlanta got stood up. Period. So slow the game down. Use your and that's the other thing, like you guys are saying, use your skill players. All right, Randall's it's not working. He can't do it this way. Let's run a high pick and roll. Let's, like we were talking about in this Milwaukee thing. Why don't we, at this point, Burks and Barrett go to work? Let them cook.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
D Rose, Emmanuel Cook. They got 6 guys that can score in 1-1.
Yeah, it just wasn't.
No other team in the playoffs has 5 or 6 guys that can score 1-on-1. No other team has that. They maybe have 2 or 3.
Atlanta's pretty.
Atlanta has 4. Yeah, Atlanta has some. But they have some 4 or 5 guys.
And
those are the only 2 teams. But nobody else has 5, 6 guys like and nobody has a bench like the Knicks do. The Knicks bench have more points than us. Nobody has scorers like the Knicks do off the bench.
That guy right there, too. The Lakers. They got a bunch of scorers off the bench.
Where were they at against y'all? Because I didn't see nobody dropping 27 on the bench. I didn't see nobody. I don't see a Derrick Rose. I don't see a Derrick Rose.
The firepower of the Knicks, like they literally have
the Knicks have is disgusting. Alfred Payton is playing 2 minutes a quarter, then gets subbed out for D Rose and Emmanuel quickly. And real quick before I give this up, I think you might as well just bench him. And you start Mayo quickly or D Rose, and then play and give them the 8 minutes that he got and the 1 minute that Tequila got, which was dumb because he was cold. Just put Bullock on Trey Young.
Why would they even?
That made no sense. Give those 9 minutes to Obi Toppin because Obi Toppin played well in the 12 minutes. He had a 3. He got an impactful dunk. They got a crowd in it. Give those 9 minutes to him. Run that 8-9 man rotation like you want to. Don't play Payton just cause. There's no point. The 8 minutes was a waste.
That's a
Give
waste
those
for
8,
everybody.
9 minutes to Toppin. You can start quickly because Quickly wasn't afraid of the moment. He went at Trae Young. He made every single shot. Quickly
It's a
was
slap
not
in the
afraid of
face,
the moment.
quickly, if you ask me. He earned to be able to start playoff games. He's
Exactly,
playing
he
with
earns
us
it,
to be
and
able to
and he and
start
he
playoff
comes in.
games.
He comes in and he's impactful off the rip. So start him or
Right
D
off the
Rose
rip.
and bench Peyton. Don't even play Nikhila. Give those minutes to Obi Toppin. Let's roll. But Freddie, it looks like you want to talk. So what you got to say about this Knicks and the Hawks game? Where did the Knicks go wrong?
What's going on, gentlemen? First off, I'm glad to join you guys for debate sports. Can you guys hear me pretty well?
Yeah,
All right. Man, the Knicks messed up by I think we should use Julius Randle in a different way. Get him in the post, bang bodies. Stop you see the floater not going, you see the mid range, the 3-point shot not going. You're the best player on the team. You have to be an impact. You have to dominate in some kind of way in this game, and I think that's what the game is still close. Even with the firepower Atlanta had, I believe with Julius Randle. Is it a bad echo on my mic?
it
Yeah, a
is.
little bit.
Is that better?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay. Um, I think they use Julius Randle the wrong way. I think if they would use him the right way, maybe the pick and roll or the screen, like Jay said, get him involved in that game a lot earlier. I think it would have been a different outcome. Because to me, I said it before. I said it yesterday. That was a game I thought the Knicks should have won with the momentum the fans was giving them. I mean, hey, let's face it. 15,000 fans, they might as well should have went to the whole 19 full capacity, in my opinion. But it was good to see Tracy Morgan there, Spike Lee. You can see Madison Square Garden going crazy. We haven't seen that in a long time.
Yeah, it was
you
good for
right, Kenny.
basketball.
Kenny, I'm gonna go to you. What do you think your Knicks have to do to win game 2?
I think it's two things. Um, one thing they have to do is find a different way to use Julius Randle, like I said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing is they got to make an adjustment on defenses. You got to take away the shooters. Like you got to let Trae Young go off, get his 30 or 40, and you got to take away the Bogdanovich. You got to take
Mm-hmm.
away the Hooters, Kevin Hooters, and the who's the other shooter? I'm thinking Gallo. You
Hunter,
got to take those
Gallo.
guys. Yeah, Hunter, Gallo, um, Bogdanovich, all those guys that sit out and eat off of Trae Young's penetration. Like you got to just stay home on those guys and just let Trae Young get his. Because what happens is, and we saw this early in the year, when he was scoring a lot and those other guys weren't touching the ball, then, they weren't winning.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the formula is you let him go off and you just kind of almost like the old school, the MJ days, the early MJ days, where they just let MJ score 40 and 50 and you just take away the other guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that's the key. And then also on the offensive end for the Knicks, they got to get D-Rose going to the basket, using, like you said earlier, the high pick and rolls, get him going downhill because when he gets in the paint, he makes things happen. And that's when they're better. You gotta take Julius Randle off the ball and put him, either on the wing, put him in the post, and let him operate from the foul line down. I don't want to see him at the 3-point line anymore. Let's get him at the foul line down. Let's get him touches in the paint so that that's where he's at his most effective. So I think those are, and we know Tom Thibodeau, he's a great coach.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably coach of the year. So he's going to make adjustments. So I see those are the two adjustments that they make. And I'm with you guys. I've seen enough of Peyton. Like, if he doesn't play another minute in this series, I'm good with it. Because it's 4-on-5 when he's on the court. It's just the bottom because he's just not – he is a non-factor on the offensive end. So at this point, you just got to go with D-Rose and not worry about the minutes because it's playoff time. We don't have to worry about saving his legs. We got to worry about, trying to, save him. This is it. It's now or never. It's win or go home.
Go home.
Yeah,
You're right.
So you go ahead and play D-Rose 30-plus minutes. You play quickly, 15, 20 minutes, whatever the case is, 20, 25 if he's rolling. Matter of fact, you could put them three out there together, him, quickly
21 minutes and 10
RJ Barrett.
points. 21 minutes, 10 points.
Yeah,
That 8 minutes that Peyton made.
So
Because
you
D
got to play
Rose
them
already
young
played
guys.
37.
Yeah, you
I'm
got to
with
play
you.
those young guys. Like, Tibbs is not known for playing young guys, but he's got to change his stripes and play those young guys. Because, like you said, Obi Toppin he brought a lot of energy. He's real active out there, hit open three, and then he banged one. So you just got to use those young guys and let them get their feet wet. Because at the end of the day, this is a building year for the Knicks anyway. Nobody expected him to even make the playoffs as coming into this year. So you play those young guys and you get those guys the playoff experience because it's going to benefit the team down the line and benefit them down the line.
Kenny, I disagree with you. Once you guys made the run for the playoffs, it's no longer a building year. You know what I think this year is? It's a proven year. Proven to some free agent this summer. Say, okay, hey, the Knicks are worth coming here now. The environment is not as toxic as it was when Dolan was doing what all the things that he was doing, which he's still doing. But we're still showing that we're able to still win. That we're still able to create a winning culture here in New York in Madison Square Garden. So I think that's the type of year this is for you guys.
I mean, that's still technically a building year because you're getting better as the
and you
year.
gotta
Nobody
get those
expects them to win a championship with this roster anyway.
Right,
They're
and you got
losing
to
in the
get those
second round.
young guys. You got to have the franchise guy, if it's a Kawhi Leonard or etc. They got to believe that those young guys are worth hanging around or worth playing with. Like he's got to believe that those young guys have the talent that's going to step up on the playoff stage and be contributors.
Exactly, and that's really my keys for game 2. Those young guys, they need to get involved. Like I said, that 8 minutes Alfred Payton played. No reason why he needs to be playing them. Just give them to Emmanuel quickly, because D Rose already played 37 minutes. He gave you 17 points. Just move him to the starting lineup.
Or do what you did with Nene Kennedy. You bring him in for defensive situations. In the quarter, you bring him in.
Don't even do that because there's no point. Put Bullock on him. At least Bullock can play in the entire game. Yeah. His legs are warm. Don't put somebody with cold legs.
I think that's the adjustment 4 hours. You put some size on Trae Young.
You have to put size on Trae Young.
Make him try to shoot over Bullock. I think that's another adjustment that happens.
Exactly. You put size on Trae Young because honestly, he scored 10, 12 points off that floater where he's coming off 2 strings. He's coming off 2 screens down the hole. He got momentum and it's right there, that easy floater. So I think some defense adjustments need to be made on the offensive end. I know on paper you got guys that were shooting, career high in 3-point percentages, but don't rely on a 3. I like Reggie Bullock is decent, but he has to be better than 0 for 5 from the 3-point line. RJ Barrett, he did not show up his first time in the playoffs. That's okay. Julius Randle didn't either, but you have to bounce back because 6 for 15, 1 for 6 on the 3-point line. Like I said, the bench outplayed the starters by far. It wasn't close. I think Alec Burks had more points than than Barrett and Randle combined. So Randle and Barrett, I don't think they need to be overly aggressive. But if I'm Tibbs, even if I'm starting D Rose, my first 2-3 plays is, I'm gonna start off with Randle on the block, then I'm gonna go to Randle at the elbow, and then Randle on the pick and roll. My first 3 plays. Those are my first 3 plays.
I will put Randle in the high pick and roll with Derrick Rose, and then you pick your poison.
And
you either get them going downhill or you get, Julius Randle rolling to the basket.
Honestly, because once he gets rolling, the whole team is better because he's that guy at that power forward spot, that can attack the basket, but he's giving everybody involved. And he's an extra scorer. Like I said, it was a close game. Randle, he has a better game.
That's why
there's nothing to trip out because they won on a game winner.
Yeah.
And the Hawks got some things they need to work on too.
Another thing is that I'm not worried about having to try to win a game in Atlanta because half the fans in the stands is gonna be Knicks fans.
Atlanta hasn't had no real home fans in a while.
Yeah, that's New York South. Atlanta is New York South, so it's gonna be a bunch of Knicks fans in that stand. It might be 50-50, it might be 60-40 we know, because we know how Atlanta is as a sports town. So I'm not worried about any type of home court advantage that the Hawks have. We can definitely win a game down there.
Definitely. Real quick before we move on to the another series, Kenny, why do you think D Rose is still underrated and underappreciated at this stage of his career?
I think it kind of goes with what we were talking about earlier with Kwame Brown. Now, there's definitely it's not even close. It's not even close in terms of the comparison or in terms of careers. But I think, Derrick Rose was on that Hall of Fame projection. He was on that Hall of Fame track or that Hall of Fame course. And then, just injuries derailed that. And so I guess some people are surprised to a degree that he was able to come back and still be effective. I think maybe that's why he's not appreciated. But you could still see if you know the game, you can see Derrick Rose still has the quickness. He still can get to the rack at
It
will.
blows my mind that people keep saying vintage D Rose. They keep saying
it's
that.
the same guy. Only thing is, the only difference is
He
he's
don't
not
dunk.
exactly. He's not putting
don't
his head
dunk.
at the rim like he was when he was, in his prime. But he still gets to his spots. But here's the thing about D Rose that I love is that he really developed a perimeter game. His jump shot has come miles and miles in terms of improvement. Now he's even hitting the 3 ball now. So you could just see that time of him not being able to, be able to play, he really honed his jump shot and he really worked at his jump shot. And now you see like he knows how to pick his spots. Like he knows when to attack. He knows when to change gears and to change speeds. Like, early in his career, everything was 100 miles an hour. Kind of him and John Wall were kind of the same, where is you're coming downhill, running, ramming it down your throat, and what are you going to do to stop me? But I think D Rose has really figured out how to, slow and go, how to, when to go, when to slow it down, when to, attack, when to, he lulls his defenders to sleep sometimes, just his hesitations and things like that. So I just think they just, he wanted. Everybody thought he was going to be an all-time great. Thought he was going to be a Hall of Famer.
He's still a Hall of Famer.
To me, I was going to say,
if he wins a champion, if Bill Walton's all a Hall of Famer for quote unquote changing the game, D Rose is a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I think he still has a chance because I can see him definitely playing another 3 or 4 years if he chooses to. So there's no reason that he can't maintain this level of play for the next, I think, 3 or 4 years. I think he can do that because he's only 32. So I think he can still do 3 or 4 years at this level. And if he does that and continues putting up like 16, 17, you have to make a case for him as being a Hall of Famer. But I just think people just thought that he was going to be this all-time great, and then he wasn't. He went through those few years where he wasn't on the court, due to injuries. And then when he came back and kind of got to almost at the at a high level, like people, I think that's what it was, that people expected him to never be the same. They thought he would be like a Grant Hill. They thought he'd be like a Penny Hardaway, where, once the major injuries hit them, they were never the same player. But he's pretty much almost back to the player that he was. And so I think that's why he gets underappreciated.
Yeah, I'm with
you. The only thing that Derrick Rose lost was his hops.
That's it.
That's the only thing. And he's still putting 18 and 5. He's putting up Mike Conley numbers, and Mike Conley was an all-star.
Than he was. He's a way better shooter now.
He's doing everything better at an elite level, like the same numbers as Mike Conley. Even the first time he was in New York, Mike Conley, getting that big contract, he's putting up 18 and 5. 18 and 5. Yeah, he's vintage D. He's still the same D Rose without dunking. 18 and 5 is the same type of numbers everybody else is doing.
But the thing was, it's like why they say
Mike Conley got paid 160 million, and D Rose is getting better in minimum.
Yeah, he was 24 and 20. Yeah, he was 24 and 25.
Mike Conley got 160. D Rose got a vet minimum. That's why I'm saying that.
Yeah, I think people had already marked Derrick Rose as a Hall of Famer that MVP year. And I think that because of that, now how you get that super high and everybody came down on them, and now they're kind of fizzled. And I honestly, if you ask players, if you ask people that are really close to the game, they're going to tell you totally different than the casual fan. So it's the casual fan more than anything, I think, that doesn't respect them.
You're definitely right on that. But let's move on. Let's talk about this Mavs and Clippers series. I'm gonna go first on this. I was wrong, game 1, and I just want to put this out there. No, it was not Paul George's fault that why they lost. So let's stop that narrative. Kawhi Leonard, where were you at? He had a bad first half. Kawhi Leonard, where were you at? This is Kawhi Leonard second half. This is Kawhi Leonard second half. Look at that shot chart. It's Kawhi Leonard second half. And then you know who also blame? The Clippers coaching staff. Because this is the Clippers with 5 minutes to go. Look at all those shots. Where they coming from? The three-point line. I count 6 3-pointers. In 2 baskets, 2 shots at the rim. They brought in Rondo for a reason. They didn't let Rondo do his thing. Rondo had 11 points off the bench. Batum gave them 11 off the bench. They did their job. But the star Kawhi Leonard, the star Paul George, they didn't use Rondo enough at all. They kept doing the same thing that they lost games. I'm talking about Rondo.
Batum.
Oh,
I'm talking about Batum. They don't use
Batum played a
like
lot
that
of
at all.
minutes though.
I think it's
Batum
hard
did
though
his
because
thing,
he got two of the two best players on his team
but they didn't do
play his
nothing this
position.
game. And you can go small against the Mavs because Kristaps Porzingis is not being in the paint, so you can go small and have all those guys out on the court. But the problem is they kept doing the same thing, ISO scoring. That's why they lost so many games in the fourth quarter because they want to do too many ISO type shots. Put your guys in a position for them to be successful, Ty Lue. You can't blame Doc because Doc put Tobias Harris in a position for him to be successful. He got 37. Joel Embiid got 30. You can't blame Doc Rivers no more, Paul George. Ty Lue, Ty Lue, what are you doing? Why are you shooting 6 threes with 5 minutes to go? Why are you not going attacking the basket? You need to put your players in check because Clippers fans shouldn't be worried because the Mavericks are never going to shoot like this ever again. Finney Smith is never going 7 for 9. Finley Smith is never going 7 for 9 again. Let's cut that out.
Playing no defense on him.
Finley Smith is never, I repeat, I will bet money he was never going 7 or 9 again. Okay. Now Kristaps Porzingis might show up and negate that, but you can Finley Smith, he's never going 7 for 9 again. But if I'm the Clippers, Rondo needs to play 30 minutes. Pat Bev don't need to see the floor no more. If we be honest, Pat Bev don't need to see the floor no more. And those two stars need to be held accountable because, first of all, those should be the only two guys, and maybe Rondo guarding Luka. Pat Bev got exposed. Marcus Morris too slow. Those two guys should be the only guys guarding Luka. You're supposed to be all defensive guys.
Are considered defensive specialists, and they're not guarding the best player.
And then nobody's guarding Luka, and they let Luka give 31, 10, 11.
That's a bad.
Let's be real. I really haven't guarded nobody since the San Antonio Spurs.
That's a lie. Now that's a lie. That's how
let's be real.
Where were you at when he was with Toronto and he shut down Giannis and they won 4 straight? That was Kawhi's defense. What are you talking about?
Okay,
that was Kawhi. You just said San Antonio.
No, you San Antonio.
Hey, no.
Right or wrong, didn't Freddie just say he hasn't guarded nobody since San Antonio?
Since San Antonio days, Kawhi Leonard have not been that defensive specialist.
But he's locked up. He just locked up Giannis to win the championship.
So what
are you
last
talking
year?
About?
So what about last year, Chris?
I know, I just said that last year he didn't show up. But you talking about all the way San Antonio.
But that's super. I mean that finals year, he did a lot of locking up. That particular year, he did a lot of locking up.
Giannis. That was the only person. Who else?
The Sixers. Ben Simmons. Tobias Harris. What are you talking about,
Chris? We both know Toronto should have won against. We
talked about locking up, right? Locking up. He guarded who he had to guard that entire playoff run. He did it. And I understand he didn't do it last year, and I'm with you on that. That's the point I was trying to get to. Yeah. Last year, they ran from Luka and they ran from Jamal Murray, and that is what I'm trying to get to. They can't do that because they're two. So Kawhi Leonard, former defensive player of the year.
That finals year.
Yeah, it's been.
Is it my turn to talk about that game?
No, it ain't because I wasn't done talking until you interrupted me. So sit back, relax, go back on mute. Now, like I was trying to say, those two guys need to lock up Luka. But again, Clippers fans, if you're out there, you shouldn't be worried. Marcus Morris is not going 0 for 6. Kawhi Leonard is not going 1 for 6. Paul George is not going 2 for 8 for the rest of the series. So y'all lost in a close game, a winnable game. And let me pull up this shot chart again. Don't shoot like this when it's 5 minutes to go. It was a winnable game. It was a winnable game. You have more than enough talent on your roster to be successful. But it better change now. It better change now. Go ahead, Freddie. I'm gonna let you sit back and be quiet. Go ahead, Jay.
I mean, you hit a lot of the points. I just think like I brought up while you were saying, I think Batum especially it doesn't get used right. They're not really running Rondo the way I would like to see them run Rondo with the style of players they have. I mean, you got shooters all over the floor, bro. Let Rondo go. Take the leash off of Rondo. Let Rondo go. And that's the thing that they don't understand. Letting Rondo play free doesn't mean Rondo's going to take more shots. You know what I'm saying? Letting Rondo play free means that he's going to do his best to open up as many opportunities for the rest of the people on his floor as possible. He might make 2-3 circles around the court, vintage, Nash type thing. But opening him up to that is gonna let your shooters thrive. And
They're
I'm
gonna get
starting to
open
think,
looks.
huh?
They're gonna get open looks when Rondo has the ball.
Wide open. And I'm starting to more and more I'm looking at this team this year and the rumors about how Kawhi Leonard is in the locker room, about how he was treating practices and all that stuff, and then Lou Williams getting traded. I'm starting to think that Kawhi Leonard don't like people taking shots from him. I'm starting to think that he doesn't enjoy people shooting a certain amount of shots because there's no reason. I've watched Nicholas Batum be quiet over the last few years over there in Charlotte and then in Portland, you know what I mean? And Nicholas Batum is a volume shooter. He needs to take shots. Once he gets hot, you're in trouble. And with him being the length as the length that he has on the court, his athleticism, I think he's just more. He deserves more of a role in this particular team, man. That for what they have, they need people to alleviate these two pillars on offense so that they don't have to be pointed at every time they do have a bad game. They don't have to be, so that way there's other people they can rely on. Because right now it's like Kawhi and Leonard and Paul don't do it. Oh, they're getting beat. Period.
You're right,
I'm
but
with you on Rondo, but
Batum
not
played
Batum.
31 minutes.
Yeah,
Batum
I
played
don't know.
31 minutes. It was 3 for 7
many
from the
shots
three-point line. He took 8 shots, 4 for 8. 8 shots, 4 for 8, 3 for 7 for the three-point line.
50%, 4 for 8.
But you're
let
right.
the man get into his game.
That's him.
But in the
To
fourth
me, that's
quarter,
when he's most effective, when he doesn't get the ball a lot.
He wasn't a
when you
volume
try
scorer
to-
on
When
Portland.
you try to
He
count
was a
him
role
to be
player.
scored, and that's when he lets
He
you
was
down.
a role player on
He's
Portland, a great role player.
He's a volume shooter, though. The thing about Batum
But he's
is,
not. I'm not giving him more shots than Kawhi and Paul George. He's not. He's taking half those guys' shots.
Yeah, you're wrong on this
He's
one, bro.
taking half those guys' shots.
More. Huh?
No more than 10. He's for me. No more than 10.
No, that's not enough for him. He's just
why though?
Batum can score.
You got Marcus Morris gonna shoot too.
And
you got
Marcus Morris should not be shooting more than 10. Morris is a 10 shot.
Morris shot 8. They both shot 8. They both shot 8.
Batum should be shooting more than Morris.
Yeah, I would give Morris more. I would give Batum.
Batum. They both should not be shooting half of what Kawhi and Paul George. They're role players, so when they need to do what role players do, get buckets when the ball swings their way. Batum did that. Batum played perfect. Batum did his job.
Again, Chris, we've seen it. If Kawhi and Paul are dependent on to take this many shots, if they have an off quarter, they lose.
But they need to step up, Jay.
Right.
But when they had an off quarter, those role guys stepped up though.
If they're not getting 20 to 25, they're not winning. Period.
And that's every team though. Every team is held. The stars is held to the same standard. Every team star is held to the same standard.
No.
What team stars is not?
But Brooklyn winning. Brooklyn winning if KD, Kyrie.
You said my team in Philly. Who we got?
My point is this: if I can look at Philly, and if Embiid has a bad night, Ben steps up. And
no, he don't.
You got Tobias that steps up at the same time.
Tobias
they got a better supporting cast. I think the Clippers rely so much on Paul George and Kawhi Leonard that
they're supposed to, Jay.
No, hold on. They didn't rely on him in the regular season. Marcus Morris was a top 5 3-point shooter. He was 0 for 6 that game. He was 0 for 6 that game. In the regular season, Reggie Jackson was a very efficient scorer. He was 0 for 3 from the 3-point line. So the guys they relied on, some of them just had bad games. That's why I said relax. Marcus Morris 0 for 6. We'll see game 2, but the guys they relied on just so happened to have bad games, and so did Kawhi. All three that is not happening in the same games for the rest of the series. Go ahead, Freddie. It seems like you want to yell.
No, I don't want to yell. But first off, Jay, everybody know when you have two great players like Kawhi and Paul George, they supposed to be the head of the snake. It don't matter. No excuses. And Chris, I think you let Paul George off the hook. He didn't play good in the game.
Did you watch him in the second half?
I'm talking about the overall game. He shot 8 for 18. He shot the ball horrible. Okay,
that's better than Paul. First of all, that's 44%. That's better than Paul George.
Yeah,
secondly, he shot 67% in the second half.
Yeah,
I'm talking about the overall game.
But he was the reason why it got close in the second half. So
I'm talking about the overall game.
But in the playoffs, if you bring it back, you had a good game.
I
He
understand
didn't
that.
have
He
a
shot
terrible
2 for
game.
8 for 3.
Yeah, he had a
2 for
better
8 for
Right.
second.
3.
He was good in the
And
second half. He
I
wasn't
called
good in
him
the
out
first
on the
half.
3-pointers. I called him out on the
Yeah.
3-pointers.
I'm
In the
just saying
second half,
overall game.
he shot 67%. He brought the lead back. He
And
was the
then
reason why they got the lead.
Kawhi Leonard played 41 minutes, 26 points, shot 9 for 22, 1 for 6 from 3. The two superstars on that team had to play better.
They got to be more efficient.
Yeah, they
That's
got to be
fact.
more efficient. You talking about what happened to Kawhi Leonard being the mid range specialist? I would like to see him go to that more often, knocking that shot down a lot more often than he has been.
This
Yeah.
Paul George in the second half.
Do you have Kawhi's up? Do you have Kawhi's?
I mean, this Kawhi in the second half. This Kawhi. Like I
Okay,
said,
you
Paul
see
George shot 67. This Kawhi in the second half.
I would like to see more mid range for Kawhi Leonard. That's where his
No,
bread
I
and
would
butter.
like to see more at the rim. They don't have no shot blockers. I would like to see him attack the basket. The mid range is fine. You're right. He's a mid range specialist, but they need to put pressure on that defense to get to the rim and draw some fouls. They have no shot blockers.
So to me, it's all. I mean, we're saying the same thing. We're seeing the same thing we saw last year. Hopefully, they're going to depend on Rajon Rondo to come in there in the fourth quarter and hopefully change the game, change the narrative around. Hopefully, get somebody easier shots. But I will say this. Game 2, they need to make some adjustments. The Mavs need to make some adjustments too. It'd be nice to see a Kristaps Porzingis signing. It'd be nice where you can release some of the stress off of Luka Doncic as well, because you best believe the Clippers are coming back. Trust me, they're not going to come back and do what they did last year. They're not going to just fold. So I expect, I'm gonna talk about another player later on, but Kristaps Porzingis need to get in the paint a little bit more. He need to get some other guys in foul trouble.
We know who you're going to talk about that needs getting the paint a little bit more.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He needs to get
this
to
guy
work.
right here.
Yeah. So, but hey, but this is the Clippers. Hey, they did all that ducking to pass up on Portland, to pass up on the Lakers. They better hope they can get past Dallas.
They did do some ducking, but
You gotta be
what you
careful what
think
you
on
ask
this
for.
game? What you think on this game?
No, I think everybody, you guys pretty much covered it. I think the bottom line is going to be one of two things. They're going to have to figure out the balance of playing Reggie Jackson and Rondo. I think you put Reggie Jackson at the 2 sometimes because he's a scoring point guard.
I don't know why it's so hard. He has one job to score.
You put them out there together. Him and Rondo are out there together some. And see if that opens up the floor too for Kawhi. Because to me, I think their best lineup is probably going to be Reggie Jackson, Rondo, Kawhi, PG, and then maybe you go Batum, and have him.
Batum or Ibaka, rotate those 3 guys.
One of those 2, or you just or Ibaka, so you have a rim protector. But like Jay said, the Mavs don't have a lot of size, so you can go with that type of team, and you got great length, you got defenders, you got scorers, you got everybody's live on with the ball. They can make a play for themselves or for another guy. So I think that's going to be the adjustment for Ty Lue. Ty Lue is a championship coach. He's won the championship, so he's going to figure out and make an adjustment. And I think that's really the biggest adjustment because at the end of the day. The Mavericks shot like you said, Sidney Smith, like that guy had to play a career game. Like that's not happening again, like you said. And Kristaps, KP, like at some point, man, you gotta prove the hype. Like right now, you're just hype. So KP has got to, because he hasn't been able to stay on the floor. He hasn't been able to stay healthy. And then in the playoffs, he has not proven himself in the playoffs because he got hurt. Last year. Right,
right when they were about to beat the Clippers.
Exactly, right at the beginning of the playoffs. So this is really, I think that's what we're going to see, whether or not KP can step up to the challenge. And if he does, then KP is going to look out.
I will say this, we talked about who needs to guard Luka. It should be one player in my eyes. It should be Kawhi Leonard. I need to see you bring that elite defensive player.
You save him for the fourth quarter.
The reason why I don't want to say it should be one player because Paul George was just a defensive player of the year candidate. It's not like Paul George is first team all defense as well.
Yeah, I think you switch.
I understand that, but there's
They
more
should be able to
pressure on
switch
It should
back
be
Kawhi
and
it
Leonard's
forth.
should be
shoulder.
switching off.
Yeah.
It shouldn't
Them
be
two
just
in the
Kawhi.
second half,
And it
like
It should be
shouldn't be
switching
I would
off.
assignment
put, yeah,
with those two.
I would let the guards play him in the first half. You put the Reggie Jacksons, you
No,
put the
I'm letting
Rondo in
Paul
the back.
George play him in the first half. No
No,
Reggie
to
Jackson.
me, I'll wait till the second half
They
because
can't
I want to
touch
keep
Reggie
Paul George
Jackson.
fresh. I
They,
want to try to keep them as fresh as
Reggie,
possible going
I'd
into the
rather
second
throw
half.
Batum at him. I'd
So,
rather throw
oh yeah,
size.
I can do that too.
Reggie
Wait,
Jackson,
we
Pat
gotta,
Bev,
hey,
they
yeah,
can't
King,
touch
you
him.
gotta keep in mind, man. You gotta keep in
Luka's
mind.
6'8".
This dude is 6'9".
He's
He's a
6'8", 6'9".
big boy.
Reggie
240.
Jackson, Pat Bev, they can't touch him. Rondo maybe, but I'm
No,
not throwing nobody small on him. I'm throwing Batum and Morris. But once they start getting cooked,
I
which they
think,
will, I'm
Morris
throwing
is not
Paul
quick
George
enough.
on him. Once
do
mid
not.
second
I
quarter,
repeat, pull the caution tape out.
mid
Do
second
not
quarter,
put Morris
I'm
on
putting
Luka. If you
Paul
put
George
Morris
on him.
on Luka, Luka's
And
about
you
to cook
definitely can't
hometown
put Pat.
buffet
You
style.
can't put Pat Bev on him after
Man,
he just told him
Paul
he's
George in
small.
the first half, Kawhi in the second. I'm rotating those two
No,
guys are the main assignment.
look,
There's going to be switches.
To me,
There's going to be switches, but nobody else should be starting off the play. He's bringing up the ball. Nobody else should be in front of him in a set defense. And obviously, when defense not set, whoever's there is there. But in a set defense, nobody smaller than him should be guarding him. Batum, Paul George, Kawhi. Nobody else should draw this assignment.
I agree with you on that.
I
Nobody
think Paul
else should draw
George
this
and,
assignment.
and Kawhi are pickup basketball minded. And when I say that, I mean you don't need to have an assignment with those two. It should be whoever's the closest to that man picks that man up.
Throw that out the
Paul
window because
George-
that's how they got cooked, Jay. That's how they
Exactly.
got
They don't want to guard him.
No. I'm still with you, Chris. But I'm saying it should only be between.
Oh no,
Paul
that's
and
where I'm
Kawhi.
agreeing with you on that. Whoever's closest gets him. See, now we're thinking the same.
Correct.
Out of those two, whoever's closest
Because
gets him right there.
Correct.
I agree with
and
you
let
on
it
that one.
ride.
I agree with you on that.
They
But
both got that mindset.
let's move on. We're gonna save the best team for last. So let's talk about I just had to say that felt good. Let's talk about the Suns, and the Lakers. This was a very, very good game. 99-90. We saw everything from big time performances to disappointing performances to one of the only brawls I feel like we're going to see in the playoffs, which did kind of lived up to the hype. Cameron Payne, shoved Caruso in, threw the ball at him. I loved every second of it. Montrez came in like Ray Lewis. I didn't know what Montrez mindset was, but this is a very, very good game. And I'm gonna go to the guy who won the game, not the loser. Jay, what's your biggest takeaway, from this game? Should I pull up the thing I showed you earlier? Should I pull up the thing I showed you earlier?
Let that man at this moment.
All right, 'cause my X factor. Feels good, don't it?
There's a few things
Y'all should have bet on this
about
series
because we've had the opportunity. You guys have given us the opportunity to repeatedly talk about this matchup. And I told you it was going to happen. And I told you I was hoping it was the first round. And it's here. And I'm going to tell you again, Freddie. I'm going to repeat it for the third time now. After that game that LeBron James played, he looked beat up. Well, not the Suns game. What was it?
The Warriors.
That's the game that they lost to.
We didn't lose. The Warriors. We won.
Yeah, the Warriors. And you guys barely won that one. That's right.
Yeah.
You lost morally. But then you come out and you look at him looking beat up. Look at him resting. Look at him. And I'm gonna tell you another thing. That tweet about the whole play-in tournament. That was an expression of him hurt, man. Like dang, like beat down. That's another part of him leaking out.
Man, I gotta play an extra game.
Man, exactly. He's just hurt all the way around. Like man, you guys. Everybody saw the NBA give them one because LeVert didn't play in the playoff because he went to a little party.
How about that?
So why did LeBron get one game?
Because LeBron, we don't even gotta dive into it. We know why.
So anyway,
you're not suspending the face.
All of that, y'all get ran, bro. Y'all get ran, and it wasn't they played it good and then did no. Y'all got ran, start to finish. You couldn't match our energy. The fans were blowing up. The big moments, you let the peaks get too high. And see, this is one of those series. This is a rivalry series. This ain't just about who in mano a mano man on the court. This is a rivalry series. We got built
It
up
is definitely a
animosity
rivalry.
against each other. You know what I'm saying? So you can't. The emotions and the momentum swings in this series are going to be more important than a lot of anything else. Just like if we go back to LA, game 3, and we come out, y'all hit us with a 12-point lead or something, that could demoralize us for the series in this type of situation that we in. So I love the way they handled it. That's the big thing that we needed Chris Paul for. So I'm so glad that he was able to fight through that and get back out in the court, because he's the one that's able to manage that momentum stuff. He knows what these type of playoff atmosphere bring. Now you can bring up that clip, because this right here, buddy, this right here, I told you, if DeAndre Ayton comes up against this boy and plays like this, y'all ain't got no chance. 0. What's that number down there in that left column on the bottom? What's that number?
He ended up with 7. But
but what was that? That's the first half, right?
Oh no, this second half, this fourth quarter.
This is the first half though.
No, that's fourth quarter.
Right?
Not this mid fourth quarter when AD is supposed to get rolling.
4. Go 4.
Oh,
come on, man.
You done?
What I mean, you said, hey, what did you just say about Kawhi Leonard? He get paid.
Are you done?
Money. I'll let you. I'll be done just because I want to hear what your excuse is.
I do too. Real quick before you go, this is the excuse I already know. It's just one game. You already know that. That's how Lakers fans go. It's just they win, they brag, they lose. It's just one game.
No.
It's game 1. Hey, on this one, LeBron, the true LeBron fans, they always say, he fills them out in game 1. That
one is the truth, though. That one is the truth.
Jay, what you just said,
they got blown out.
Jay, everything you said just made me laugh. I'm gonna tell you, yes, y'all played good. Devin Booker looked like a Kobe, a mini Kobe. I mean, the dude looked good. But the game, even though y'all had that much firepower, it was 99-90. It was 99-90. Just imagine game 2 when Anthony Davis get his big behind, stop acting like he's Steph Curry or somebody, get his big behind in that post and act like he's going against the boy. Because guess what? That's what he need to go with that mindset. I'm going against a puppy and DeAndre Ayton, who's good, but he's nowhere near Anthony Davis' skill set. He need to get his big behind in that post and to show him, hey, I'm Anthony Davis. You back down to me. So I expect that. He said that in his press conference that this team cannot win not just a game, they can't win a series if he's playing like he played Sunday afternoon. So I don't expect Anthony Davis to play horrible like that this rest of the series. I expect him to be aggressive. That's his problem at times. He don't be aggressive. Sometimes he just want to float around and shoot at them 3 or shoot the long distance. Or when you go against a Jay Crowder, we've seen him in the finals going against a Jay Crowder last year and put in the work on him. We need to see that this series. We need to see that Anthony Davis. Now, I do expect LeBron James to be better game 2. Like he said it Friday. This is going to be a first game to fill out game to see if he can get adjustments where he need to make adjustments. The team need to make adjustments. This is squad as it gets. We still played a good defensive game to hold you guys to 99-90. That firepower, because Devin Booker was going off. What he scored? Like 34, 10, and 8, something like that. Like the dude was going off.
That
he
was
was
first playoff game.
You have to give the dude credit. The Devin Booker was the best player on their court that game that night. But can he do it 2 games in a row? Do we know what Chris Paul health is? Do we know how that shoulder is going to be? Because I did see that shoulder was affecting how he was dribbling that ball. It was affecting him. So
he couldn't lift the ball over his head.
So really, I agree with you. The Lakers showed no energy at all.
Hey, speaking of shoulders, how's LeBron's shoulder? That fake.
Oh, his shoulder good. Don't worry, it's gonna be good.
3 for 6 on the free throw line.
That was an Academy Award-winning performance.
His shoulder's good.
Already.
But like I said, I expect Frank Vogel to make some adjustments for game 2. I wouldn't be surprised AD starting at 5 game 2. They gonna need to make some adjustments. I I expect LeBron to have more than 18 points. I mean, listen, bro. For us to hold y'all to that and not let y'all score 100 points, and when AD played bad the way he played, LeBron didn't score as much as he normally do. I feel confident, but I need to see a better AD in game 2. That's all.
I mean, this
And,
all
and before you go, Chris, and we need Kyle Kuzma need to do more on that court. He needs to sit his butt on that bench. I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah, Kyle Kuzma was a no-show, but here's my thing, right? You know, AD has to play well. LeBron, you can obviously tell he was filling it out because he was like 4 for 6 in the first half and then was 2 for 7 in the second half, 1 for 5 from the three-point line. He's to show himself. LeBron also has to learn how to knock down free throws because right now he's just as bad as Giannis. They could have still won this game, but he missed 3 free throws in a row in the fourth quarter with like 4 or 5 minutes to go. So, you know, I expect better things from LeBron. I don't know what to expect from AD because he's been very inconsistent the entire year. Lakers fans and also need to stop blaming Andre Drummond for how bad AD is playing. They need to stop it because Andre Drummond, even though he looks like he don't know what he's doing, he had 12 and 9, and then they keep saying, "Oh, well, because Drummond's in the paint, that's why AD is not playing well." When AD had 40, Drummond was still in that paint. So I don't need to hear that.
Down low.
I don't need to hear that because when AD had 40, Drummond was still in that paint down there. So cut all the noise. Okay, AD has to play better. You know, we've seen AD make jumpers and we've seen him miss jumpers. At the end of the day, do what the Sixers do. When Embiid's posting up on one side, Ben Simmons on the other side, you go to help, and we got a shooter right behind there. So go ahead and help. And that's how they roll, and that's how we won our game, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. But stop blaming Drummond. And, you know, Freddie, I know you want to put AD at the 5, but honestly, I don't know if this is the right series to put AD to 5 because DeAndre Ayton, yes, I'm not saying DeAndre Ayton is Rudy Gobert, but DeAndre Ayton is a very good center. He's been a very good center since high school. And the fact that he was 10 for 11 all, you know, in the paint, he out hustled Andre Drummond, Anthony Davis combined. He had 8 offensive rebounds. AD was right there. He took those from AD. He put the ball back up. They didn't even give him no offensive touches at the high post, you know, at the low post, giving him that mid-range he can knock down. So DeAndre Ayton is a very good big man that's definitely going to go at AD on both ends of the court, especially in the defensive end, because I think his best matchup is against Crowder. He's shooting over Crowder. He could bang with Crowder. He's not shooting over Ayton with ease, and he's not banging with Ayton with ease. Do I think it's better for the Lakers at times to have AD at the 5? Yes, but this series is one of the only series you want to keep him at the 4 and keep Crowder on him, you know, and keep, you know, Michael Bridges on him. And then if they want to put Ayton on him, you just, you know, you either sub out Andre Drummond and put in Marc Gasol, or you just take advantage of the mismatch that you got a 4 or Andre Drummond who's 290 pounds, you know. So Frank Vogel has to figure out what to do. He's out here. This is AD's shot chart. This is AD's total shot chart. You see all these mid ranges right here. All these was contested mid ranges by DeAndre Ayton. All of them. All these is, you know, these was open threes he just missed. But you got a lot of contested shots. AD needs to, and this is on Frank Vogel and that coaching staff. If you're gonna, you know, have him at the perimeter, you know, have him coming off a screen. If he's going to shoot these mid-ranges, put him in better position for him to succeed. But DeAndre Ayton is a very good defensive center, so it's not going to be easy for AD. I think his best bet is to hope he gets James Crowder on him, because I feel like now the Suns are just going to put, you know, they're going to put Ayton on AD no matter who's in the game. And so the Lakers coaching staff needs to have to find a way to exploit that other mismatch. And that's on the coaching staff.
And they need to give KCP get him more involved.
KZ was 1 for 7 from the 3-point line. He was involved. He was 1 for 7 from the 3-point line open looks. James Crowder was 0 for 7. Those two guys negated each other.
No, what I'm shooters,
but now you can get him involved more. There's Devin Booker is
1 for 7. He was 1 for 7 from the 3-point line. He got his looks.
Let me rephrase my word. What I'm saying is he needs to knock down those shots. You shoot.
Yeah, okay, we know that. 40% from the 3-point line. He got to knock down open threes because he's the only shooter. The Lakers are not a good 3-point shooting and free throw shooting team. So with KC being their only real 3-point shooter, he can't go 1 for 7.
We got Ben McLemore. He can knock it down.
Where was Ben McLemore at this game?
For some reason they don't want to play him. But
okay, there.
Ben McLemore and Wesley Matthews.
No, not Wesley Matthews.
I told I told you, Freddie. I told you Wesley Matthews was not as good as Danny Green. And you swore up and down on the show that this dude's going to have a better season than Danny Green. Danny Green was 3 for 4 in the playoffs from the 3-point line last game. Please
he wouldn't do that in there. Like he couldn't do it. He couldn't do that in the brightest light.
Really, that's all that.
Yeah, in Philly, he can't do it at the brightest light. I don't want Danny Green either.
Hey, Freddie, add this though, because you brought up about holding us and playing good defense, bro. You guys had 17 free throw attempts in the first half to our 0.
Okay, and what we still knocked. We missed like 12. We didn't knock down 12 of them,
and that's y'all problem. Y'all terrible free throw shooting team.
So
that's not the point. That's y'all fault.
Something wrong with that
what I'm
picture.
saying is,
I'm terribly wrong with that picture.
It's horrible. So
what's your point on that, Jay? We didn't knock them down, even though we got them. We didn't knock them down. So,
but you got them.
Yeah, someone's getting the benefit of the whistle.
No, and in Phoenix and Arizona,
the Lakers are still the Lakers. You forget the Lakers did the league blatantly cheated games for y'all, and it's all everybody knows the Lakers get cheated for years after year.
You got Denzel James.
So now we blaming the ref.
No, I'm not blaming the ref. I'm not blaming the ref at all. I'm just saying I'm not blaming the ref for this game. I'm just pointing out that Lakers always get the benefit of the call when Devin Booker was getting. First of all, this is what I love about Devin Booker. People should have been woke when he dropped 70. That's when y'all should have woke up when he dropped 70. But he called out all his defenders against y'all. He said, "Move, come on, Caruso, come get this in your face. Come on, now I want you now, KCP. Wesley Matthews, you got subbed in the game to guard me. Come get this work." Devin Booker called out all his defenders.
He didn't do it. Caruso actually guarded him pretty well.
No, he did. He called his switch just for Caruso.
I'm send you the clips.
And I'm gonna send you the clip where he said, "No, come set the screen. Someone Caruso on me. Bop, 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 bada, bop, boom, splash." So stop it. He was unguardable. He missed shots because he missed them, not because of defense.
Hey, he got to wherever he wanted.
He got to wherever he wanted to.
We're gonna let him keep scoring too, but we'll see. They'll see us in game 2 though.
Game 2, I wouldn't be surprised.
Don't get you guys sent home.
I wouldn't be surprised if Lakers win game 2 because I expect LeBron to have a big game, but there's no blowouts. And this is the only thing before I give it to Kenny so he can give a spill that we can talk about the best team in the East for a second. I'm joking, but
Nets?
No, oh wow, I can't believe you just said that on air. But
right.
You be honest.
The only thing I question about the Suns is what is Chris Paul's health? If Chris Paul is not healthy, the Suns are in for a rude awakening. Because I'll be honest, Cameron Payne is trash.
On that play,
Cameron Payne is trash. So if Chris Paul is not healthy, it's a problem.
Cameron Payne is not trash.
Cameron Payne is trash.
He does his job.
And which is collecting garbage. Okay. Yeah, I ain't gonna. Kenny, what you think about this game?
Yeah, I just think that this was. Go ahead, Jay. Oh no, I just think it was. No, I just Devin Booker's coming out party. And even with the game he had, he did have 6 turnovers. So that was one little one negative about it. But he got to where he wanted to get on the floor. He's just a pure shooter, and he's putting it on the deck and getting to the rack. And you see that crossover when he went on the break and he just banged it with 2 hands. Like I was just to me like what makes Devin Booker special is that his demeanor. Like he's just like a silent assassin. He doesn't get up. He doesn't get down. Like he was out there playing like this was a regular season game. You didn't see any pressing in him. You didn't see him, like feel like the moment is too big for him or anything like that. He just said, "I'm here and I'm gonna do what I do." So, but I'm with you guys in terms of being concerned about Chris Paul because he's the engine. Like if he's not there. And honestly, like Jay, I'm sorry, but if I'm Phoenix, I'm playing Etuan more before I'm playing Cameron Payne because to me he's bigger, he's a better shooter, he's better in the half court than Cameron Payne, and I just think he's going to be more effective in the playoffs than Cameron Payne is because the game is going to slow down. The Lakers are going to do everything that they can to control the tempo. Because the Phoenix is better than them in the open floor, in my opinion. So I think they're going to do everything that they can to make this a half-court game. And like you guys said, the one thing that Phoenix has is they have a mobile big man. And that's the problem with putting AD at the 5 because Ayton is mobile. That guy is athletic. He has quickness. He has length. He has strength. So, like, AD can't really use his speed advantage that he usually has against other bigs. was quickness advantage. Their best bet is, like you said, keeping AD at the 4 and using him against Jay Crowder so he can use his length. Because if they try to put him at the 5, I think Ayton is going to give him, is going to make the game hard for him. It's going to make it tough for him to score. And I think he's going
That's
to
to play into our game.
Yeah, he's going to drift to the perimeter even more, I think, if he plays the 5 with Ayton. So I don't think you're going to see Freddie him playing in the post if he has Ayton guard him. He'll see him in the post if he has Jay Crowder on him. But if he's got Ayton on him, he's going to try to face him and try to see if he can take him off.
He's staying at the perimeter. But real quick before we move on, one word. Who's winning game 2? Freddie.
Lakers.
Kenny.
Suns.
Jay.
You already know what it is.
Just because I don't know CP3's health. If he's healthy, I'm still going Lakers. I'll be honest. LeBron's putting up 35.
Hey, Chris.
I did say Suns game 1 though. I did say Suns game 1.
Hey, Chris. Did you guys see the Milwaukee Bucks blew out the Miami?
We talked about it.
We already knew. We already knew that was going to happen. We already knew that was going to happen.
22 threes, bro.
I predicted they shot.
Miami's
Miami's in deep trouble. But let's move on.
Let me just add this real quick. The only reason I do enjoy Cameron Payne's game with the Suns is for the last part that you said, Kenny, is that our advantage and our best basketball offensively is when we're pushing and we're running. Cameron Payne plays so freaking aggressive, and I love it. Like he'll push it to the wheels fall off and then bring it back. Rather than, you know what I mean? So I like Cameron Payne's aggressiveness and the way he pushes the ball. So that's why I enjoy him on our team.
Yeah, I understand. It's just hard to get a lot of fast break opportunities in the
playoffs, and you need experienced shooters, and that's what each Paul Moore is to me. He's an experienced shooter. But let's switch it over to the East real quick. Kenny, I'm gonna go to you first. Do you think the Sixers, have a legit shot at making the finals?
I don't know about legit, but they got a shot. But to me, the only way that they beat Brooklyn is if somebody gets hurt. Like if Brooklyn stays healthy, they don't have enough firepower. Like Ben Simmons can't score 6 points and they beat the Brooklyn Nets.
That's true.
That
15 was beautiful, and I'm gonna talk about it as my turn to
talk.
That
was great, but he
has 6 points.
Yeah, he's got to give you 15 and 20 points a night because Tobias Harris is not scoring 30 a night. Like he's more like 20, maybe 20, 25, but like 30 a night, I don't see that coming from Tobias Harris every night because of the defensive. Because what he's gonna have to do in terms of helping to taking some time and guarding KD. And I'm sure they're going to put him in switches to try to get Simmons in, ball screen action to get that switch with Tobias, with KD. So I just think that they have a chance. Like if Embiid goes off, if Embiid averages 35, if he's that monster, then, they got a chance. But I just don't think they got enough firepower to be able to score with Brooklyn.
What do you think, Freddie? Did the Sixers have a chance of making the finals?
They have a chance, okay, because they play defense, Yes, Brooklyn have all the firepower, or they won't. But hey, if they locking you down, they locking you up. We have seen James Harden in times in playoffs, not be the same dude in the regular season.
Who on Philly is locking them? Who? You got Simmons on KD. So who's locking up Harden?
Kenny, I could ask the same question. Who's gonna guard Joel Embiid in the post? I don't know who's on Brooklyn.
Oh, I could put DeAndre.
Who?
DJ?
Oh, no. He don't want Joel, bro. No, Joel's going to
DJ on him.
You talking about barbecue chicken. He's going to be barbecue chicken. I'm sorry. And if Ben Simmons can be dominant, you're talking about running that offense, running up and down the court to get his open shot.
Yeah, but you're not running up and down the court. We just said that you.
Why not?
You don't get
half-court in the playoffs.
Opportunities in the playoffs.
Hey, but still, he's going to be running that offense. He can get guys open shots, Kenny.
But you still haven't answered my question. Who is guarding James Harden? Who's guarding Kyrie?
You can throw a Danny Green out there. You can throw a Ben Simmons out there.
Ask me this, Kenny. Can you ask me this? Because you don't know the Sixers roster. So ask me this, okay? You're going to probably put. Honestly, I don't. This is what I'm going to say.
Curry barbecue chicken.
No. The Seth Curry just like Kyrie. They don't. Their jobs on offense, not defense. We got 3 guys that's going to make all defensive teams. Joel Embiid as the big. Ben Simmons won Defensive Player of the Year. I don't know if he's going to be on Harden or KD. I don't know. I would assume KD, but I wouldn't be surprised if they put him on Harden because Harden initiates the offense. You understand what I'm saying? But Matisse Thybulle, 6'7", 6'8", who he's going to be second team all defense. Him and Draymond Green were the only guys that I think had like 50 blocks and 100 steals, or one of those two. He's a great defender. He's probably going to be on Harden, and I don't know what
minutes is he going to play.
Oh, he'll play starting minutes. He'll play at least in game. He's going to play starting minutes.
So that means that
Danny Green
or Steph Curry's minutes go down.
Bye. They're going to have to split something. Here's the thing with Danny though. Danny doesn't have the lateral quickness, and it showed against the Wizards. He didn't have the lateral quickness to stay in front of Brad Bill Cook, Danny, whoever Danny Green was guarding, whether it was Westbrook, Bill, or Ish Smith, they gave Danny Green problems. So I don't know who Danny Green was going to guard in the playoffs because Kyrie is too shifty and James Harden is too shifty. So that Danny Green is the one that worries me. But you can't shut down those three guys. Well, Ben Simmons and Matisse Thybulle would make whoever they two are guarding work for every single basket. But I'm gonna take it over. This is why I think Brooklyn is the team to beat. They're taking away two guys. Brooklyn has three. Brooklyn, like we realized, Brooklyn scored or assisted 98 out of the 104 points they scored against Boston. 98 out of the 104 points came from Big Three.
Well. They played bad.
And they did not play well. Those three can outscore any team by themselves. If one is off, two can pick up. If two is off, one can still get 50. And that which worries me because, listen, you don't have to shut down a team the entire game. You just have to get timely stops. And Brooklyn realized that throughout the year. So if they get two, like, because the Sixers, I love them, but they go 4, minutes without scoring. You do that against Brooklyn can, be down 8 and then be up 13 in that span of time. That's what makes Brooklyn scary. They're not going to be able to guard Embiid. Tobias, I don't know if he can get 30. He can give you 25, but I look at the guards, they have to help. But Ben Simmons can't score 6 points because he could have easily had 14, 15, and 15 if he was aggressive. He had open dunks he didn't try to get assists. He had putback layups that he's missing. He's over here trying to shoot jump hooks from the free throw line like he's, Magic Johnson. Stop it. You're built like Giannis. You're just athletic as Giannis. Yet you don't want to look at the rim. And I'm tired of Doc Rivers saying, oh, well, he played great. Don't get me wrong. Tremendous defense, 15 rebounds, 15 assists. Outside of scoring, he was the best player on the court. But you have to score to beat Brooklyn. You have to score to win in the finals. And so 6 points not going to cut it. And that is why I'm not confident to say my team is just going to make it to the finals. We have a shot, but if Ben Simmons is not scoring 14, and it's not hard, I'm not asking him to shoot jumpers. I'm asking him to look at the rim for a change because he has mismatches on him, but he keeps winning the pass. So my answer, we have a shot, but for me, the favorite is still Brooklyn. And no team, I don't care who's healthy, no team to me, the only team probably is Milwaukee, maybe, but Brooklyn for me is still the clear-cut favorite.
Yeah, and I think it's one point that makes what makes Brooklyn so tough. And I got to shout out my uncle Gary Howard. He said it to me. I was up in Charlotte a couple weekends ago and we was watching the game, and he said, "This is the point. At no point in the game do you not have KD, Kyrie, or Harden on the floor.
On the court, that's what's scary.
For 48 minutes, either one of those guys is always going to be on the court. So you got one guy that's always going to be able to get his shot or get a shot for somebody else at any point in time. You don't get a break.
Especially if it's Harden, because he's the guy that's a real playmaker. So he's going to get the Joe Harrises, the Landry Shamits, the Jeff Greens. He's going to get those guys easy shots because he's a natural playmaker. So now you got three guys that can lead a team. I mean,
that's what makes them the team. But I think the only thing is injuries is the only thing that's going to stop them from coming out of the East.
And even if they got two of those guys, to me, it's still tough to say somebody's going to beat them because you got two guys that can get 40.
But see, the one thing that you do have, the weakest part of Brooklyn's lineup is the inside play. So
Embiid is going to kill them.
Like he goes nuts, he goes crazy. If he has a Shaq type of series,
Embiid
then,
is going to kill
all
them.
bets are off.
Nobody, they can't guard Embiid. They're going to let Embiid get his, but
everybody
else is
they're
going
get
to
the
beat
ball
you.
out of his hands. Like I don't see him being
You're
able.
right. They can
He's
get.
gonna have to play out of double teams because they're gonna double him the whole series. I think.
And Seth is a second highest 3-point
He's
shooting percentage.
Danny Green's got to hit shots.
And I'm comfortable with Seth and Danny. I'm comfortable with those two guys. Tobias
Danny's streaky though. That's
Danny can be streaky, but I'm comfortable with Seth. But
Danny's good. He's in Philadelphia. He'll knock him down.
He's still streaky.
Very streaky.
But Seth, I'm confident in him. But you're right. We're just going to have to wait and see. And I can't wait till my Sixers, hopefully play your Knicks in the second round because
yeah, that'll be fun.
You don't want the Knicks, bro. No.
What?
I'm gonna tell you why you don't want to go against series where these guys are gonna be physical with y'all, get y'all tired. Then you got to go against a Brooklyn team.
How you gonna tell me what my team needs to face?
I'm just gonna tell you don't want to go through a series like that, then go against Brooklyn.
My team needs to face the Knicks. We need to face ISO guys that can get their own because that's what we're gonna go against. 3 guys that get in their own. Hawks is going to be fun. They're perimeter oriented. Trae Young. That's going to be fun. But I think the biggest test is going to be the Knicks.
But they, the difference is, like you said, with Atlanta, it's drive and kick. Like they live off of, Trae Young getting in the lane and kicking out the shooters. Luke, Williams getting in the lane and kicking out the shooters. All that stuff is off a drive and kick. Whereas
Knicks is in your face,
right, exactly. You got ball screens, so you got isolation action with the Knicks. So that is definitely going to give you your best preparation for getting ready for the Nets. So I definitely agree with you on that.
All right, last question before we end the show. We got 3 games tomorrow. We got Boston and Brooklyn. We already talked about Lakers, Phoenix, and then Dallas and Clippers. So real quick, Kenny, who do you have in the Boston and Brooklyn game?
Yeah, Brooklyn. This is a 5-game series, maybe 6 at the most.
I got it 4. I got it 4.
Yeah, I'm giving Jason Tatum and Kemba the benefit of the doubt that they'll go off one game in Boston, and just avoid the sweep. But yeah, I got this one. Yeah, Brooklyn wins tomorrow night.
I got it a sweep. Freddie, you the same way? We all got Brooklyn.
Yeah, I got it a sweep as well.
All right, Dallas Clippers. Freddie, one team. Who you got winning?
I'm gonna go Dallas. I think Kristaps is gonna step up, and he's gonna. Yeah, I think he's gonna put pressure on the Clippers. I think he's going 7. I changed my mind from 6. He's going 7 games.
Kenny, who you got?
No, I got the Clippers. The Clippers come back and respond in a big way. Kawhi has a big game. Paul George has a big game, and they respond and win and tie up the series.
Yeah, I got Clippers as well. I think, Kristaps Porzingis is going to have a better game than he had. Like I said, I don't expect Finley Smith to have a game like that. And I'm looking at the Clippers side. I'm looking at Kawhi. I think he's having a better game. Paul George, heafter the second half he's having a better game. I think, Lou Williams is going to smarten up and say bye-bye, Pat Bev. You paying 8 minutes like Alfred Payton. I'm getting Rondo in there, and I'm getting Reggie Jackson in there. I think we're going to see better rotations from both teams. I think the Clippers is going to tie it up. If they go down 0-2, Kawhi is coming to Philly. That's all I got to say.
Coming to New York. Uncle Dennis is in Jersey. Come on home. Got family here waiting for you.
And the best team in the East is over here in Philly, SP. But that's a wrap. Make sure you check out the post-game show coming soon. Thursday, make sure you check us out. We got a lot of games, we got to discuss on Thursday from, the Tuesdays to Wednesdays. And we're going to talk about, the conversation Shannon Sharp had with Julio Jones. We didn't get a chance to touch on it today, but it's some things that we got to – no, I'm not even talking about him. I'm not even talking about him with the Cowboys. I'm talking about the fact that this dude called him live on TV. And we need to know, did Julio know he was live? Because
I don't think he was, but we'll talk about it.
Yeah, we definitely got to talk about that. But that's a wrap for the ASAP Real Talk. You got Freddie, Mr. Delusional. You got Kenny, Mr. Basketball. You got me, the Young Gun. And we'll see you on Thursday. Peace.